Takumi wakes up one morning to find himself wrapped in a spider web. He immediately suspects Maple, who tries to act innocent and pretend she doesn't know what happened. Takumi scolds her, explaining that she can't do that. Maple eventually admits her mistake and apologizes, but explains she did it because Takumi has been so busy with his potions and alchemy lately that he hasn't had time to play with her. Takumi agrees and decides not to work that day, choosing instead to spend the day playing with Maple. This makes the spider very happy, and she starts jumping on Takumi. At that moment, Molly's mother Martha sees the scene and panics, thinking that Maple is trying to eat him. Takumi explains the situation to calm her down. As Martha looks around, she notices the fine quality of the spider web and grows interested. She uses the web to make clothes that impress all her friends. Spider webs are considered a luxury material, primarily used by nobles. Martha asks Maple to produce more web. Takumi tries to explain that only he can communicate with Maple, but it seems Maple understands Martha well enough as she begins providing what she requests. Takumi reminds Maple that they were supposed to play that day, but the spider replies that she's too busy with work now. Takumi decides to return to his tasks, reflecting that it's been a month since he arrived. He plans to visit a city soon to study alchemy. He visits the blacksmith and receives a gift, a boarhide armor. Bolton, the blacksmith, points out that it needs adjustments to be efficient in combat. Takumi insists the adjustments are unnecessary since he focuses only on crafting. Bolton counters that no crafter travels the forest alone. Molly's father enters and asks how the armor turned out, knowing they need to hurry since Takumi might leave for the city soon. Takumi, feeling a bit sad, agrees, but his friends understand his reasons and support him. They tell him a merchant from the city of Bolton will arrive in a few days and they'll arrange for him to travel with the merchant. Later, Takumi encounters Martha, carrying a bucket of rabbit meal they caught the other day. She explains that they're the tastiest parts but can harbor parasites and diseases if untreated, so they must be discarded. Takumi offers to purify them using his magic. Instantly, the meals change color and become safe to eat. Martha is surprised to see he can now use light magic. She thanks him but advises him not to use such magic openly. Few people can use light magic, and those who can often become very wealthy. While it might not matter in this village, it's better to keep a low profile. In the following days, Takumi uses earth magic to reinforce the village walls and his knowledge to install water wells. Before leaving, he wants to express his gratitude by doing all he can for the village. The day finally arrives. The merchant from Bolton, Mr. Popek, has arrived. Molly's father, Binda, prepares his order. Takumi joins them. Binda introduces Takumi, and they get ready for the journey. Takumi tells Binda he left about 100 potions at his house and asks him to give them to those in need. The potion immediately catches Popek's attention. Takumi explains that it's just a basic potion he crafted. Popek examines it closely and notices something special about it. Martha arrives with other villagers to bid Takumi farewell. She gives him a parting gift, a beautiful custom-made coat. It was made using Maple's thread, and the children helped with the design and patterns. Takumi thanks everyone for everything they've done for him. He begins his journey, with the villagers bidding him a heartfelt farewell. This village was the first place in Nilfgaard he lived in, and from now on, he will consider it his home. Popek notices how beloved Takumi is in the village. One of his companions even tears up, touched by how special everything was. The three men accompanying them introduce themselves to Takumi: Heath, Riel, and Bogar. They are members of Lionfang, a C-rank adventurer group tasked with escorting Popek. While they believe the area is safe, they prefer to be cautious. Riel notices Takumi carrying a large sack with great care and asks what's inside. Takumi replies, "It's a killer spider." The adventurers are shocked to hear he managed to tame a spider. Riel tries to look inside, but the sack jumps and hits him hard in the face. Takumi scolds Maple for doing that, but Heath insists the fault lies with Riel for approaching so suddenly. He even blames him if Maple now fears people, but they discover Maple sleeping soundly next to Bogar. Popek calls Takumi and asks if he has more potions like the one he showed Banga, as he'd like to buy some. Takumi agrees to sell them. Suddenly, the cart stops abruptly. The adventurers, excited, prepare for a fight. The group of goblins emerges from the forest and heads toward the cart. Popek panics comically. The goblins attack, but the adventurers defeat them with ease. Once the goblins are dealt with, they collect the magic stones left behind. Maple warms up to Bogar, dislikes Riel, and is indifferent to Heath. After this minor incident, the journey continues peacefully. 3 days later, they finally arrive in Bolton, the first city of Mildgard that Takumi visits. Everything amazes Takumi about the city. The first thing he does is accompany Lion Fang to deliver their report to the Adventurers Guild. If he wants to remain in the city, he also needs to register both Maple and himself as adventurers. Initially, Takumi would have preferred to register with the Alchemists Guild, but unfortunately, Bolton doesn't have one. He has to settle for the Adventurers Guild so he can use the guild card as a personal ID. The lowest rank card doesn't expire as long as he completes at least one request per month. After finishing his registration, he heads to the Popek company, where Takumi shows Popek the types of potions he has for sale. Excited by the deal, Popek offers him 10 silver coins for each basic healing and stamina potion, and 50 silver coins for each mana potion. Takumi does the math and realizes he's just made a small fortune. Takumi thinks he might be overpaid, but Popek explains that, as an unknown crafter, the payment is below average. Something about Popek's generosity feels suspicious to Takumi. Still, Popek doesn't seem like someone who deceives people. Interrupting Takumi's thoughts, Popek advises him to establish himself in a workshop to further his crafting career. Takumi explains he's just arrived in the city and can't afford a house with or without a workshop. Popek suggests renting one and even offers to show him some properties. He rings a bell and his assistant, Thomas, appears. Popek asks Thomas to show Takumi a house, and Takumi is surprised to find it's practically a mansion. Thomas tells him the rent is 1 gold and 50 silver coins per month. It seems like a great price to Takumi, but he suspects it might be haunted. Thomas assures him the house has a good reputation. Takumi considers he can pay the rent by selling potions. When Maple asks where they are, Takumi replies that it's their new home and agrees to the deal. Thomas begins the paperwork, and they plan to move in the next day. Takumi thanks him, but notices something bothering his nose. Since arriving in the city, he sensed something odd in the air. Thomas explains that it's due to the sewage system beneath the city. Nobles use artifacts to reduce the stench, but the city can't afford them. Priests are hired to purify the sewers occasionally, but it doesn't help much. The following day, Takumi and Maple move into their new home. Wasting no time, Takumi begins a new project. He mixes the clay he bought from Popek and molds it using magic. Once dry, he heats it with a temperature control spell, then uses a space-time spell to speed up the firing process, strengthening it and setting its final shape. When finished, Takumi is exhausted from the magical effort, but the result is worth it. He's created a bathroom. Takumi knows it's the one thing he truly missed in this world. Suddenly, he hears Popek shouting in the house. Takumi rushes to see what's wrong and finds him wrapped in a spiderweb. Takumi asks Maple what she did, and she replies that she was simply welcoming him. Takumi explains that only the village children enjoyed that kind of welcome. However, Popek finds the web so comfortable he decides to take a nap. Takumi untangles him and apologizes. Popek doesn't mind and asks to use the bathroom. Takumi shows him the way, but is soon alarmed when Popek calls him again. Popek is shocked and asks what kind of bathroom it is. Takumi explains it's a toilet that purifies waste, separating clean water from organic matter. Popek is astonished and asks if Takumi can use light magic. Takumi remembers Martha's warning and begs Popek to keep it a secret. Popek agrees but asks Takumi to make 100 more of these toilets. Feeling obligated, Takumi agrees, provided he can get the necessary materials. Popek thanks him and suggests hiring workers. Takumi had already considered hiring an assistant, but Popek recommends using servants. He explains that a servant would manage the household, ensure security, and be bound by contract magic to keep secrets. Takumi feels it's too much, so Popek explains that using light magic marks someone as divinely chosen, or so it's believed. This is why the Divine Light Church takes in light magic users, profiting from their healing abilities. Popek warns that the church won't take kindly to toilets using purifying magic. Takumi asks if it's safe to produce them. Popek assures him he has a plan to gain support for the project, but insists they keep the creator's identity secret. Using servants is the best way to ensure that. Takumi refuses, saying that exploiting people is wrong. He'd rather do it alone. At that moment, he receives a message from the guild reminding him to complete his monthly requests. With the guild tasks and toilet production, Takumi realizes he can't handle everything on his own. Popek takes him to the Mulan Company, the most reliable place to find servants. There, Takumi meets a blonde-haired girl who promptly tells him to get lost. Hey, if you made it to this part of the video, don't forget to write the word Exquisito in the comment section. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.